One of the best things about being at Fox is that I've always felt that I could fully be myself. I've grown up with Fox News in my career, from the White House days all the way to now.
If you're an avid cable news viewer, then you're likely quite familiar with today's subject, prominent Fox News host Dana Perino. In this video, we'll be taking an in-depth look at Perino's impressive career trajectory and her transition from the White House press secretary to one of television's most respected political commentators and journalists. We'll explore how her measured and rational approach has set her apart at Fox News, allowing her to build trust with audiences across the political spectrum without resorting to the provocative, partisan rhetoric that often dominates cable news.
My colleague and friend at the church group had said to me, which is to fear not. I do feel, Ken, that I worried my 20s away, and I don't want anyone to have to do that because it's not necessary.
Dana Perino's rise at Fox News. Since joining Fox News over a decade ago, Dana Perino has steadily risen through the ranks to become one of the network's most prominent anchors. She currently co-hosts the popular talk show The Five and the morning news program America's Newsroom. What sets her apart from many of her Fox colleagues is her measured, rational approach. Known as a voice of reason and a voice of calm, she's not prone to the provocative, partisan rhetoric that the network is often criticized for. Current and former colleagues say Perino has managed to thrive at Fox by being neither a fierce Trump critic nor an unquestioning loyalist. She's very rational and respectful of people with differing views, says Tony Fratto, who worked with Perino in the Bush White House. The measured perspective has allowed her to persevere, even as the network has become increasingly pro-Trump in recent years. Perino is notably one of the few top Fox anchors who's never interviewed Trump directly. When asked if she'd prefer if Trump participated in a Republican primary debate, she replied with a tepid, "Sure." But she noted his absence could have allowed his rivals a chance to break out. Her reserved, fact-based approach extends to how she handles controversial topics and guests. Perino says she loves interviewing experts she trusts, even if they express views that clash with Fox News orthodoxy. For example, in April 2020, she had a biologist on who dismissed the malaria drug hydrochloroquine that other Fox hosts were heavily promoting as a COVID treatment. Quote, "I worry sometimes. I think the audience might think I'm too boring, but I think people listen when I speak. I've been called the voice of reason. I don't know if that's always true, but I am a voice of calm." This rationality and professionalism, combined with her White House experience, have made her a respected figure at Fox.
How do I do it? Well, again, you think about your integrity and your dignity and your graciousness, and what's more effective. So for me, if I raise my voice, people know, like, oh wow, she's mad. She means it.
From White House spokeswoman to journalist, Perino took an unconventional path to the Fox News anchor desk. After initially planning to become a reporter, she shifted to public relations and communications early in her career. Her big break came when she was hired as a spokeswoman for the Justice Department in 2001. Her communications role eventually led her to the White House, where she worked her way up to become President George W. Bush's press secretary from 2007 to 2009. She was only the second woman to hold that position. Friends and former colleagues recall how Perino excelled at preparing President Bush for press conferences and always shot straight with him. Quote, "If you're preparing the president, you have to do it nicely, of course, since he's the one who was elected," says former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. "But you also have to be willing to say, Mr. President, that answer isn't going to fly." Dana did that, and I think President Bush respected her for it. Perino delivered an impressive 145 White House press briefings during her tenure. While not as combative as her predecessor, Tony Snow, she still stood her ground when needed. Handling the daily barrage of reporter questions was intense, high-pressure training that helped prepare her for the Fox anchor role. Quote, "When I was press secretary, the number one worry in America was terrorism. I think it's pretty remarkable that it is not our biggest worry anymore." After the Bush administration ended, Perino briefly considered other career paths, including volunteering in Africa. But in 2009, she accepted a contributor role at Fox News. Initially, her focus was defending Bush's record and legacy, but the job soon required her to start injecting more of her own views and analysis. "I had never done that. It was new to me, and I was nervous about it," she says. But Perino gradually grew more comfortable expressing her own opinions, albeit in her characteristically restrained manner. Her big Fox break came in 2011 when the network tapped her as one of the 5 co-hosts for a new panel show called The Five. Originally meant as a temporary fill-in, the show was so successful it became a permanent fixture. Perino has been a key part of its 11-year run. From there, Perino steadily expanded her Fox footprint. In 2017, she got her own news show, The Daily Briefing. In 2021, she was elevated to co-anchoring the morning show America's Newsroom. And in 2023 came her highest profile assignment yet, moderating her first Republican presidential primary debate.
I really wish this Trump guy would stop holding back so much. If Biden has been ghosting us, Trump was stalking us. But at least you knew where he stood, right out on your front lawn wanting to talk.
Republican rumor mill. Perhaps no subject generates more intrigue and conflicting rumors about Dana Perino than her true feelings towards Donald Trump and his lingering control over the Republican Party. On one side, you have those who insist Perino has always harbored a deep distaste for Trump, that she is simply too savvy or scared to voice publicly. One former White House peer, speaking anonymously, claims, quote, Dana was absolutely repulsed by Trump's behavior and never wanted to be associated with his antics. But she also knew being an outspoken Trump critic at Fox News would be career suicide. So she had to play along and go with the flow there. The source alleges that Perino frequently vented about Trump's lack of decorum and his demonization of the media behind closed doors. They claim Perino even explored leaving Fox News early in Trump's term when the network's opinion shows became overtly pro-Trump. Quote, she's a traditionalist Republican who believes in democratic norms and civility. So it really grated on her to see her colleagues propping up someone like Trump who so flagrantly violated those norms and turned his back on the truth. But another former Bush advisor strongly pushes back on that rumor, insisting Perino is nobody's hostage at Fox News. They argue she's carefully cultivated a reprieve from having to praise or criticize Trump directly. Quote, Dana knows there's no percentage in her having to take hardline stances on Trump, so she just aims to be fair and lets the facts speak for themselves. If she really hated Trump and Fox's direction, she would have just left, period. She's got enough money, accomplishments, and no BS attitude to do what she wants. The advisor does acknowledge that Perino, like many mainstream conservatives, was turned off by Trump's belligerent messaging and baseless voter fraud claims following the 2020 election. But they insist she harbors no special animus towards the former president, merely a desire to move on from his populist political style. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think she's being held hostage by Fox's pro-Trump tilt, or was she calculating enough to forge her own independent path? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.